Hello everybody, my name is Matthew Coblin. I am the founder lead developer of HubPlate, the next generation of restaurant management and POS systems. In this video I am going to be going over staff and scheduling pages to show you guys how this system works. And this is super awesome how it works. So you could see how many total staff members you have, how many people are clocked in, what your estimated labor cost by the hour is. So you have your rates here, and you'll have, so your hourly rate will show what your estimated labor cost by the hour will be. Now your actual labor cost is by the clocked in. So I'm going to clock in this manager really quick. And every time a staff member clocks in, they got to put in their PIN and clock in. And as you can see, they could also clock out for lunch and break, which I will show you that real quick. Basically, you would just go down, click clock in, put in your PIN again. Then you can clock out for lunch or a break. Super simple, straightforward. And so it should say clocked in. Let me refresh the page. Okay, boom, clocked in as manager. So it shows your actual labor cost in real time. So once everybody is clocked in, you see what your labor cost is. So I think that's a really cool benefit for managers. Another thing you could do on the staff page is, say, click on Bob Wilson as a cook. So you could see their information. This is where you would set their terminal PIN code. So whenever you have, in a previous video I showed you, which, you know what, I'll just show that real quick. I'm going to make sure you could go down into settings. Now if you're logged in on a tablet or even a cell phone, you could come down here and click switch to terminal. And it'll say, do you want to switch this into terminal mode? You click yes, and now you have a terminal set up. So you could turn any device into your terminal. Like I said, tablet, laptop, smartphone, any device can be a terminal. So your staff would come in, click this, like Bob Wilson is a cook, 1101, click OK, access granted, boom, now the cook is logged in as a cook. And as you notice, the profile, the menu over here only shows what they need to see. So a cook would only use probably the KDS system. Or typically they would just click clock in, they put in their PIN code. And this guy is also set up to be a bartender, so he could clock in as a bartender or a cook. And the hourly, they would get paid the hourly rate that is set, which I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But we're going to clock in as a cook. And so they could see schedule. This shows the entire schedule for the entire staff, my profile, and they could see Bob Wilson as a cook. They could see their information. They could edit their email address, their phone number. And what staff can also do is view shift swaps. So if anybody offers up a shift, they could see that. If somebody's requesting a shift from the cook, they could see that. Or if they're requesting for another cook to cover their shift, they could also see that. And how that would work basically is they could come down here, they could select a shift, and they could say offer up the shift, and other cooks would be able to see that that shift is offered up and they could accept it. So they could also see their weekly hours of what they're scheduled for the week and what times they're scheduled for and how many hours they work for the week. Now, I haven't been running this, so there's no hours shown for work because I haven't clocked them in for this week. And this is also where they would set their availability. So I'll go into February and I'll show you how that works. They would simply click. They could click open availability, which would make them available for all times that cooks are available. Or they could say, you know, I'm only available 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And they can select this for just that day, for the next 7 days, for this week, every Tuesday for 4 weeks, or for the next 4 weeks. They could save the changes. And boom. Now, all of February, they're available from 9 to 5. Now, this works for scheduling purposes. So if I hit log out, now, as you noticed, go back in as the cook. The staff page isn't there, the analytics page isn't there, the menu and recipes. All of the pages that are for management only are taken away for servers, cooks, dishwashers. This is all staff sees, and it's all they need to see, right? And even the settings page, all they see is notifications and the social medias for HubPlate. And these social medias are for HubPlate. That's all they see. They don't see the management settings. So I'll log out and come back in as a manager. And now you see all the extra settings that managers can see. And then over here, all the menu options for the managers, which is a lot more options because management has a lot more to do. So going back into staff, you can see he's clocked in as a cook, and you can see actual labor rate, spent $3. And so go back in as a cook. So we have 3 different roles you could set up for people. So if this cook also wanted to be a dishwasher, you can set them as dishwasher and set the hourly rate as dishwasher to whatever you pay them as. $13 an hour. So now they could clock in as a dishwasher. So you could see their hire date, active. If they're a server, you could set table color, their contact info. Another thing management can do from the staff page is see their time clock. So you see, it should say that they're currently clocked in. If you want to see a specific date, you could change this to like the 18th. No time entries for that day. Maybe they did work that day, so you could add an entry of when they clocked in, when they clocked out, how many minutes did they take for break, save the entry. Should show it. Maybe I got to refresh the page for it to show, but this is how you would edit their time clocks. Let's see, today's the 21st. Let's go back into today. So, oh, they put it in for the, I didn't change the date, that's why. That's why I didn't show on the other one, on the 18th, because I didn't put it for the 18th. I put it for the 21st. So it shows 9 to 5 for today. If you needed to edit this, you just simply go in and edit what time they clocked out. So let's say they clocked out at 4 p.m. You could change this to 4. And this is how you would edit their time clock. Let's say a server forgot to clock out. You know, you don't want to pay them for 15 hours. You simply go in, edit the time clock, and it'll edit that. So I'm just going to delete that real quick. And then you can also see their availability. You could see that they were available from 7 to 5 those days. And then the future times that they're available. So they were available from 5 to 11. But in February, they changed their availability to daytime, so they're only available 9 to 5. So that is how the staff page works. What roles they have. See, it's refreshing right now because it's updating the actual labor costs. And then let's say you fire somebody or they quit. You could go in here and hit delete. And this does not delete historical data. It just removes them from being allowed to actually log in and clock in to access your system. Because we all know we always have disgruntled employees after they leave. We understand that. So you don't want them to log into the app anymore. You don't want them to use their PIN code anymore. You simply hit delete and they're deleted. And then that will put them on the discontinued list, which looks like this. This guy no longer works here. You can restore him. Let's say you rehire him, so you could restore him. Or maybe you made a mistake, accidentally deleted him, and you could restore him. You could add an employee when you hire an employee, enter all their information. And what you could do here is you could send an invite link to their email address, and that will allow them to sign up to the app, set their email and password, and you can add them that way in order to be access to the system as an employee. And then you could go in and set their rates, PIN code, and whatnot. And then you could also tell them, hey, go in and set your availability so we can put you on the schedule. Another feature we have for new restaurants is import CSV. So you take your CSV of all of your employees, you import it, and it will add them all at once. Boom, just like that. And if that CSV includes availability, it should update their availability as well. The schedule, again, servers, cooks, dishwashers, they do not see this top row buttons here like make schedule, copy, and add shift. All they see is the staff schedule. Who's scheduled for what days and times. And as a manager, you can edit all of this. So if you needed to edit this day, you could come in, edit the time that they need to be in, and leave. The greatest feature about this is to make a schedule. So when your staff inputs all of their available days and times, you go in here and create a schedule. So I already have January set up. So February, I want to create a schedule from the 9th to the 16th for 7 days. And I already have a template set up. So I'll show you how the staffing rules work. When you set up a template, you set up staffing rules. So you could add as many rules as you need for the weekday, for the weekend. And let's say you need one server from 5 to 11, 2 servers from 10 to 3. You could set that up. Bartenders, what times and how many bartenders do you need? How many cooks do you need? So I have 1 cook for 8 to 5, 2 cooks from 10 to 5, 1 cook from 5 to 11. So it takes all of these staffing rules. How many dishwashers do you need? How many AGMs do you need? Click generate schedule, and it'll generate an entire schedule for everybody who has. Now here's the thing. If your staff does not have their availability set up for the month of February, this is what's going to happen. So we only have 2 people with their availabilities for February, so it only created a schedule for those 2 people. And it'll show your coverage gaps. So there's 56 coverage gaps simply because we don't have our availability set up. So what you would need to do is go in and you would need everybody to set up their availabilities for February. So that's a good example of how that works. If your staff, if one person does not have their availability set up, they will not be put on the schedule. So everybody who has their schedule set up, it'll be set up. But this is what it would look like once everybody has all of their availability set up, it creates the schedule. And of course, like I said, you could edit this however you need to, but it'll save tons of time for your management on setting up the schedules. It'll automatically set all of this up for everybody's schedules. So I don't have any staffing rules for a manager, so the manager was not put on the schedule. So it only sets up staffing rules. It only puts people on the schedule for availability if they have their availability set. It only puts people on the schedule if you have a staffing rule for management. So this is how the staff page works and the scheduling system works. It creates everything automatically within seconds. Very flexible, very editable, and saves hours and hours of time creating schedules. All you got to do is have your staff put in their availability, set your staffing rules, boom, creates your schedule. Again, I am Matthew Koblin. I am the founder, lead developer of HubPlate. If you guys have any questions or concerns, comment below, send me a message, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Thank you very much. Have a great day.